Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about Aegor Rivers, also known as Bittersteel. He was one of the most feared warriors in Westeros during his time, and he played a major role in the Blackfyre rebellions. Now, I know what you're thinking. Another video about Game of Thrones? I'm so over it. But hear me out. This is not your average Game of Thrones video. This is a video about Aegor Rivers, one of the most badass characters in the entire series. Aegor was a man of few words, but when he spoke, people listened. He was a skilled warrior, a natural leader, and a ruthless strategist. He was also known for his dry wit and his sharp tongue. In short, Aegor Rivers was a badass. So if you're looking for a video that will entertain you, educate you, and make you laugh, then you've come to the right place. Let's get started. History. Aegor Rivers was born in 234 AC, the third son of Daemon Blackfyre and Roanne of Tyrosh. He was a skilled warrior from a young age, and he quickly earned a reputation for his ferocity and ruthlessness. In 259 AC, Aegor joined his half-brother Daemon in the Blackfyre rebellion. The rebels were initially successful, but they were eventually defeated at the Battle of the Redgrass Field. Aegor was one of the few survivors, and he fled to Essos with a small group of followers. In Essos, Aegor gathered an army of sellswords and pirates, and he launched the Second Blackfyre Rebellion in 267 AC. This rebellion was also unsuccessful, but Aegor managed to escape once again. Aegor eventually settled in the Free Cities, where he became a renowned mercenary captain. He died in 281 AC, at the age of 47. Early life. Aegor Rivers was born in 234 AC, the third son of Daemon Blackfyre and Roanne of Tyrosh. He was a bastard, but he was raised by his father and his father's wife, Daenerys Targaryen. Aegor was a skilled warrior from a young age. He was also a ruthless and cunning strategist. He was known for his use of a two-handed greatsword, and he was said to be able to cut through a man's armor like butter. The Blackfyre Rebellions. In 259 AC, Aegor's half-brother Daemon Blackfyre claimed the Iron Throne for himself. Aegor joined Daemon's rebellion, and he quickly became one of his most trusted commanders. The rebels were initially successful, but they were eventually defeated at the Battle of the Redgrass Field in 260 AC. Daemon was killed in battle, and Aegor was one of the few survivors. Aegor fled to Essos with a small group of followers. He gathered an army of sellswords and pirates, and he launched the Second Blackfyre Rebellion in 267 AC. This rebellion was also unsuccessful, but Aegor managed to escape once again. He eventually settled in the Free Cities, where he became a renowned mercenary captain. The Golden Company. In 278 AC, Aegor founded the Golden Company, a sellsword company composed primarily of Westerosi exiles. The Golden Company was one of the most powerful sellsword companies in the world, and it was known for its loyalty to its commanders. Aegor led the Golden Company for many years, and he used it to try to restore the Blackfyre dynasty to the Iron Throne. However, he was never successful. Aegor died in 281 AC, at the age of 47. He was buried in an unmarked grave in the disputed lands. Legacy. Aegor Rivers was a complex and controversial figure. He was a skilled warrior and a natural leader, but he was also ruthless and cunning. He was a man of few words, but when he spoke, people listened. Aegor Rivers is still remembered today as one of the most important figures in the history of Westeros. He was a major player in the Blackfyre rebellions, and he founded the Golden Company, one of the most powerful sellsword companies in the world. Aegor Rivers was a badass, and he will always be remembered as one of the greatest warriors in Westerosi history. Bibliography. The World of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin and Elio M. Garcia Jr. and Linda Antonsen, 2014. The Sworn Sword by George R.R. Martin, 2003. The Mystery Knight by George R.R. Martin, 2010. A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin, 2005. A Dance with Dragons by George R.R. Martin, 2011. The Winds of Winter by George R.R. Martin, 2023. The World of Ice and Fire is a comprehensive history of the world of Westeros, and it includes a chapter on the Blackfyre rebellions. This chapter provides a lot of information about Aegor Rivers, including his early life, his role in the rebellions, and his founding of the Golden Company. The Sworn Sword and the Mystery Knight are two novellas set in Westeros during the reign of King Aegon IV Targaryen. Both novellas mention Aegor Rivers, and they provide some additional insights into his character. A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons are two novels in the A Song of Ice and Fire series. Both novels mention Aegor Rivers, and they provide some additional information about the Golden Company. The Winds of Winter is the forthcoming 6th novel in the A Song of Ice and Fire series. It is not yet known how much information about Aegor Rivers will be included in this novel, but it is likely that he will play a role in the story. In addition to these primary sources, there are also a number of secondary sources that provide information about Aegor Rivers. These sources include the Ice and Fire Wiki, the Tower of the Hand, A Song of Ice and Fire, the graphic novel, A Song of Ice and Fire, the card game. These secondary sources provide a wealth of information about Aegor Rivers, including his appearance, his personality, his skills, and his accomplishments. Conclusion: Aegor Rivers was a complex and controversial figure. He was a skilled warrior and a natural leader, but he was also ruthless and cunning. He was a man of few words, but when he spoke, people listened. Aegor Rivers is still remembered today as one of the most important figures in the history of Westeros. He was a major player in the Blackfyre rebellions, and he founded the Golden Company, one of the most powerful sellsword companies in the world. Aegor Rivers was a badass, and he will always be remembered as one of the greatest warriors in Westerosi history.
If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be here until next time.